What's up, Starcraft fans? Today we're doing the tier list for Rubber and Blue on Void Launch. So Brian, let's hear the mutation.
Void Launch is the map where we have to shoot down Amon's shuttles. There are 7 waves of shuttles, which increase in size, number of prongs, and escorts. We cannot let more than 4 shuttles escape, otherwise we lose the game. Damage we deal gets dealt back to us, and spread all around to nearby units. And our units get frozen when they stand in the red circles.
Okay, so Tutu and Sticksbender are with us today. How are you guys today?
Alright, good.
Yeah, doing pretty good.
Alright, so let's begin. Sticksbender, how are you going to rank the commanders today?
Basically, how well could you kill Amon without killing yourself? It's the short version.
Sounds about right.
Diffusion plus double-edged makes it pretty easy for a lot of commanders to just kill themselves.
That has been my observation. How about you, Tutu?
Usually the people who do well against double-edged, diffusion kind of slows them down. I don't really know. I think suicide units will be good.
That makes perfect sense. Alright, let's begin.
Okay.
Abathur, where do we have him?
Abathur. You can get 2 full biomass swarm hosts by the first shuttle wave, and you can also build spores. You can build like 2 or 3 spores near the conduit, so you can actually handle things pretty easily. And then as you get more swarm hosts, all swarm hosts, as you get more swarm hosts, then you'll just stop everything in their tracks. And Swann can have the points. I think he's A.
Hey, how about you, Sticksbender?
It doesn't have to be Swarm Host, honestly. If you just go like Ravagers or Sky Abathur, the fact is, you get biomass, you now are buffed by double-edged instead of nerfed by it. If you take P1,
Well, how
you're
does
now
that work?
very buffed by it. So here's the thing. When double-edged causes your units to take damage from damaging enemies, it causes them to damage themselves from damaging enemies. So the biomass from double-edged will make it so that your units will actually effectively take less damage because they'll life leech off of the damage dealt to themselves with double-edged. So at 50 biomass, if a unit deals 50 damage to an Amon unit, then it'll actually only deal 25 damage to itself, but it'll still get the heal over time as if it dealt 50 damage to itself. And at 100 biomass, if you deal 50 damage to Amon, you'll deal no damage to yourself and then get the health regeneration over time for 50 health. You just get bonus free health regeneration over time at no consequence. And if you have P1, you can go up to 125 biomass, and so you deal 50 damage to an Amon unit, which will cause your unit to deal 62.5 damage to itself, which means you literally healed for shooting an enemy and damaging yourself with double-edged. So at that point, your units are literally just hyper regenerating from double-edged. P1 plus literally anything Abathur can make should do just fine. Self-healing from double-edged will be so high for anyone who gets good biomass, and with P1, if someone doesn't have good biomass and they kill themselves, oh no, anyways, they have an 100% chance of dropping all their biomass. So you lose nothing.
Okay, so that's actually new. I didn't know all of that double-edged buffing stuff. That very much sounds like an A at least. Is that
Yeah.
A for you, Sticksbender?
Oh yeah, at least. Arguably S for just like how
it
seriously,
works.
If you just go P1 Abathur, I don't know how you screw this up. Your
I might
units
try
are so
that.
chunky they don't care.
Alright.
The only possible problem is that because of Abathur's low DPS early game, you run into problems actually physically killing the shuttles before they leave in the early game. But
Right.
that would only be an early game problem. And if you build spores, which Tutu was already recommending, you rush out a small number of swarm hosts and then build spores before getting the swarm host shoot up upgrade. So that's already a problem.
Makes sense.
So yeah.
Okay, so that's A. Alarak, where do we have him?
The opposite of A.
Z?
In this context, I suppose that would be F. But the point is, he kills himself very, 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 very quickly.
No. He kills his entire army and then himself.
It's not great. So Alarak hero unit has to stay at home. You have to put him on a timeout in the base. You can use him for early waves if you make very, very, very certain there are no combat units within like a gazillion miles of him, and that way you can make sure that he will just cast a destructive wave and then die, not cast a destructive wave and then eat something.
So what army does he roll with here? War prisms?
that's the one thing I was going to bring up, is that for army, however, on the bright side, at least you have a unit that you can make that's quite good here, and that is the Stalker.
Yeah, the
Or
Slayer.
the Slayer. The Slayer, because of phasing armor, honestly is pretty solid against double-edged and diffusion. It's not a Dragoon, but it's not that far off. If you just mass pure Stalkers, then you will probably find that you do honestly pretty well. It's basically just you don't have your hero unit and you don't have any of your good units because they all die to double-edged. But you have a decent unit that people already sometimes mass slayers against, like going nuclear or whatnot for the mobility, and it works. And structure overcharge still works just fine because it doesn't actually damage the structure. It damages, for some reason, when the structure overcharge is placed on a structure, that attack isn't actually coming from the structure, it's coming from the top bar, so it damages the top bar, which is invulnerable, so it's fine. So you can overcharge structures and be fine. And Death Fleet, if you're not using P3, is a free expendable wave of mothership and destroyers, and if they kill themselves blowing up the objective, that doesn't matter. The objective died and it was a top bar, so that's all we care about. I was dramatic about the opposite of A tier because of how much your hero unit will kill your own army, but the reality is, if you are nice and good about not bringing your hero unit by trapping him in a prism or pylon wall or whatever, Mass Slayer is actually pretty solid. He's just hero-less and good unitless, so he's going to be mediocre. C tier, maybe.
How about you, Tutu?
I used Mass Slayers, and I thought it was fine. You just gotta stay out of diffusion range, so you're mostly paying attention to that, and then your pylons are to the sides of the conduits so that you don't get hit by diffusion.
Do you get the blink upgrade?
Yes.
Yes.
That doubles their damage, right?
Move. And also blink away, because yeah.
Yeah, because then you can blink away from diffusion, and also remember they have phasing armor still, and phasing armor is just phasing armor lasts 2 seconds, which allows them to get like entire volleys off without taking any damage from it. So that's nice.
Okay. So
remember, phasing armor does proc on double-edged.
So letter.
I put Alarak in front of the attack wave and then destructive wave once, and then he dies, and then I use this overcharge and other stuff to finish it off. I put him in B.
Okay, that's actually higher than
C is fine too. Like,
yeah,
depends. I guess it kind of depends on the enemy.
I had him in D, but like
D seems too low. You underestimate.
I'm okay with C now because of the phasing armor thing. And just
B seems a little high because, like, one, we are going to see people who are going to be like, Alarak! Oh, I accidentally brought the hero.
We're all okay with C, I think.
Everything died.
I think we're all okay with C. Have him there. Arcturus, where do we have him?
His bunkers are immune to double-edged, so you're actually only fighting diffusion. And if you have enough bunkers, it's like you might lose a bunker or so as the shuttles are passing by or something, and then all the people inside blow up and kill the waves with them.
Yeah.
However, if you lose too many people, you're gonna be low on money.
People.
So he's pretty good. We forgot this temporal field, but it doesn't really do anything. So
yeah, it's
yeah.
It's we need a third mutator.
Just in case you were wondering, even in this situation of building mass static defense, temporal field still does basically nothing.
Yeah.
So letter.
I put him in A.
Okay. How about you, Stickspender?
I was pretty much thinking the exact same thing. You're going to build a wall of bunkers. If the bunker dies, it explodes because the people in it are bombs, and just don't lose so many that you actually run out of people. But it should be fine because you can lose quite a few people without running out of people.
This is inhumane. All right. So A.
Yeah, and honestly, you should be able to do Manx without losing very many people at all. But you know, if you mess up and lose a bunch of people, that's okay. There's a lot of margin for error here.
All right, Artanis, where do we have him?
Artanis is, so as we said, like I compared Slayers to Dragoons as being like, they're not Dragoons, but they're pretty solid. Yeah, Dragoons are really good against Diffusion and double-edged. Dragoons are really, really good. So because of the fact that they are relatively low DPS per unit, except against armored, where they're suddenly actually quite capable of killing themselves. So if you were wailing on like a train or something, but you aren't wailing on a train, you're shooting shuttles, which aren't armored here. So in general, between the double-edged heal back and the shield regeneration in combat of Dragoons, you shouldn't really be losing Dragoons because fights shouldn't last long enough for them to break their own health bar with double-edged and diffusion. Literally, the fight shouldn't last long enough for them to kill themselves. However, in case of large fights where you're worried the fight might last long enough for them to kill themselves, I introduce to you Shield Overcharge. Give your Dragoons each plus 400 health. That will make them not die. Space Archons actually work now because Blizzard has changed them to not instantly delete their orbs with double-edged.
Thank you, Blizzard. Very cool.
Solar Bombardment is an instant delete on some of the humongous late-game waves of Void Launch, and the pretty large mid-game waves too. Honestly, like the Void Launch is really a map of just like downtime, huge wave, downtime, huge wave. So Solar Bombardment is great for that. Archons is great for that.
Letter.
Honestly, I could see a case for S tier Artanis. He's really solid tier.
How about you, Tutu?
I think he's really good for all the reasons mentioned, but I think you still have to micro because of diffusion. Not like a lot, but you still have to move. So that's more than some of the other S tier candidates. I put him in A.
Okay, Stickspender. Convinced Tutu.
No, the problem is that this is an easy enough mutation that there's too many S candidates for Artanis to really compete with that many S candidates,
right.
I think.
Not unanimous, therefore not S.
If more people end up turning out to be like, actually, maybe this isn't as good as we thought, then S tier ends up underpopulated and Artanis can get a promotion.
Dehaka, where do we have him?
He's one of my S tiers because despite diffusion, you're gonna throw creeper hosts at the shuttles and they will still die.
Creeper hosts are very tanky.
And you do the same thing as you always do, except you can't use. Well, Dock Run will be like a one-hit.
He's a bomb.
Yeah, just a bomb.
But yeah, everything else is the same. You just throw creeper hosts at the problems and they will go away. So
how does that work? I don't get it. I've never seen creeper hosts working against diffusion because diffusion just makes them blow themselves up.
Maybe
it doesn't work with Scourge, but for creeper hosts,
Scourge are really.
I mean, the
health.
difference is that Scourge have 25 health and creeper hosts have 140.
180.
100. Why? Okay, that would do things. I would see that as more micro than Artanis having to like slightly kite with Dragoons.
You press C in the direction of the shuttles and they all die.
Do you ever target fire the shuttles?
You don't have to, but they're gonna kill everything there.
All right. Slight X to doubt, but all right. I creeper hosts don't seem that high octane, but I guess.
With creeper hosts, your actual hosts should be out of harm's way, whereas with Dragoons, your actual army is constantly being damaged.
Yeah, you A-move it, and then sometimes you slightly kite. Versus you move your dudes into a position that's, about the right distance, which isn't too hard because there's a lot of room for air here, and then you send dudes.
Okay, so
they
where do we put...
very similar to me.
Where do we put Dehaka?
The Krun being a bomb is bad, and I don't believe creeper hosts are as good as Tutu says, because I don't see them working that well based on just like no micro, let them go.
Maybe use them over the enemy base so that they don't actually, just fight the shuttles. They also fight the base under the shuttles or something. They work pretty well for me, to be honest. Okay, if you don't agree with S, we can put him in A.
Yeah, I think we'd put him in A.
Alright, there it is. I actually thought Dehaka was S, but yeah, not unanimous, therefore not S.
He might go to S later.
He might. Phoenix, where do we have him?
So much not S. Oh goodness. Shuttles are neither armored nor light. This is a problem because it means adepts don't kill them that fast, scouts don't kill them like ever, and carriers would normally kill shuttles great. It's a shame that diffusion makes carriers utterly useless. Diffusion is going to be a problem for your short-range adepts. It's going to be double-edged is going to be a problem for all your robo units. It'll be a problem for your champions. It'll be a problem for your scouts. Just like, what do you even make? And the answer is you make P3 and you spam adepts and you expect that lots of Taluses are going to die. But it's okay because P3 makes it cheap. That is literally the plan.
They're refunded, right?
It's a 75% refund on Talus dying.
Right.
Your goal then is to try to micro your adepts so that none of the adepts themselves die, only Talus dies over and over again, and same thing with Caldalis dies over and over again. And it's very cheap as long as only the champion dies over and over again. But you have to have the other adepts they're actually firing. They just have to be microed to try to be like just barely out of diffusion range, which, by the way, diffusion range is 5 and adept range is 5. The only reason adepts can be out of diffusion range is because adepts are 5 range away from the edge of the unit and diffusion is 5 range away from the center of of the target. That's it. That's the wiggle room you got to work with. It's awful.
Can the derps use the shades? The shades shoot, right?
The shades shoot for 2 damage or whatever it is. You cannot rely on just the shade. It's not enough damage to do relevant damage.
It's better throwing shade at shades.
But the shades do help. They'll be able to just walk up and shoot things, and they don't have to worry about double-edged or diffusion at least. So that's good. You're gonna have to just take that as a very helpful bonus that will help make up for the fact that I am not a great commander for this. So it's quite doable once you figure out like the 1 or 2 things that work. He's like D or E tier.
How about you, Tutu?
Yeah, I used the mass adept strats. I don't remember how many tries it took, but
it took tries.
It was pain.
I spent many attempts trying to figure out that adepts were what worked, and then once I figured out T3 adepts were what worked, I took like 3 attempts.
Letter.
It's just mass adepts and Caldalis because he has free refunds. He does a little bit of damage and then get some money back. Yeah, I can see D.
I think D also.
Really? If he took you that many attempts, who's going to be worse than him?
The person I haven't beaten it with.
All right, we put him in D.
Han and Horner, where do we have him?
I thought Han and Horner was pretty good. The double edge, not great. Double edge affects the strike fighter platforms, so you gotta use them wisely. Magmines are great.
Yeah, Magmines are great.
So you have 4 different call downs, and they're all only the strike fighters are affected by double edge, and then Reapers plus carrier gallons, those do a lot of damage, and they don't kill themselves. So
they don't?
I put Han
as
Horner.
long as you make sure they don't diffusion themselves, yes.
Yeah, just kind of like kite. So
they outrange diffusion?
B.
Again, same situation as the depths. 5 range, but from the edge of the unit, and diffusion from the center of the unit.
My goodness.
Yeah, I put them in B.
How about you, Sixbender?
B seems a little generous, purely on the basis of you slightly fuck up the micro once and you stop having a single unit.
Yeah.
It's that easy to just lose everything.
Sounds like an Alarak situation, to be honest.
Yeah, kind of. With Han and Horner, it's like the flip side of like you're actually quite a lot stronger than Mass Slayer. However, you are not mistake-proof at all.
I guess Tutu did put Alarak in B initially, so that makes sense that we also had Han and Horner in B.
Alarak and Han and Horner, it's like both of them, it's like in terms of like actual performance, like what I would use them, it's like, yeah, I can agree with B, that makes sense. In terms of how much like base ability is required before you can get them to not self-destruct, they kind of lose a tier on just like skill floor for this mutation. If you know what you're doing with Alarak or Han and Horner, either one of them can actually be quite good, but if you don't, it's gonna be a mess, most likely.
Where do we have them?
I would put them also in C.
Is C okay for you?
Yeah, I can see it. Because if you know how to like spawn camp, then the enemies aren't really a problem. If you can aim your strike fighters, then yeah, it's not a big problem. But if you can't, then it will be a problem.
All right, Karax, where do we have him?
So Karax, he makes buildings, and the buildings live. Cannons are very chunky, and between repair beam and potentially shield batteries, maybe you even use P1 if you want to be funny, you can really just like your cannons can just be fine. Monoliths can kill themselves, but it takes a little bit, so as long as you're okay with the risk that they might die, you can put monoliths way in the back. They might die, but most likely they'll just like zap a few things and then everything will be dead, so they'll be fine. But like put them way in the back if you use monoliths. Mostly just use cannon mono battle. And then you have Spear of Adun. The Spear of Adun can't kill itself, so you could just fire away, which is why P3 is probably more powerful than P1 even still, but P1 is funny. Never use Chrono Wave, use P1. Or your unit or all your buildings will blow up.
Letter.
I would say he can probably be A tier just because the Spear of Doom technically can solo the entire mission.
How about you, Tutu?
I put him in S because like with repair beam, nothing dies. Or they don't die, plus batteries. And batteries give a shield. Top bar is really good.
I was also considering Karax for S tier. My concern was whether he would run out of energy. But with the 3rd prestige, he probably won't if you wait for all the shuttles to converge just before exiting.
It has technically been proven that with P3 Karax, if you're very careful about it, you can solo the entire mission with only top bar and cybernetics core walls.
Okay, so that's an S then.
Yeah, he can go an S. That's fine with me. Technically, there is enough Spear of Adun energy to do that, And so if you're using cannons plus Spirivadoon, then you don't need to have flawless Spirivadoon aim. You have cannons to shoot things, and you most likely have an ally. So seriously, you should not run out of energy. You could just keep blasting.
So Kerrigan, where do we have him?
The hero unit will be like
A bomb.
just a call down. Immobilization wave, if you are in the wrong spot or you're too close to the enemy buildings, then she'll die. But if you don't die, that's fine, I guess. I used Mutalisks. You Mutamicro, so use hit, run, and I added some Brute Lords because Brute Lords are good against double-edged, but it's a lot of work.
I also used Mutalisks and it was painful, but Sixbender said he used Hydralisks, so you finish first, Tutu.
Yeah, I don't think it's as bad as Fenix though, so I put her in C.
Okay. How about you, Sixbender?
Oh, I thought she was slightly worse than Fenix. Also, she's definitely not as good as Alarak and Han Horner. That said, yeah, Immobilization Wave as a call down is really good, so that's helpful. But not having Kerrigan hero unit sucks. Alarak does way better than Kerrigan playing without a hero unit. It's not even close. His Slayers are just really better than anything Kerrigan can pull off for just army spamming. Other than that, there's the fact that, yeah, you're going to have to figure out how to get anti-air plus probably Broodlords as your best anti-ground against double-edged. All your units are going to be expensive as a result of that because you're going to be going for Broodlords and either Mutalisks or Hydralisks with that have to be in large enough numbers to kill the shuttles. You're probably going to want Spores for early shuttles. It's just, no, I can't see her being as good as Fenix, to be honest, and that's saying something because Fenix is quite bad. I think she's even worse than Fenix, personally. We could put her in the same tier as Fenix, though.
Okay, so where's Fenix? There we go.
Wait. There's one thing I think I should share. With P3, you outrange Diffusion, so that's good. And you can actually like use the Q ability and you won't die against the shuttles, at least the first few shuttles. So you can shoot, and if you have queens, you can heal her, but even without it. And another thing you can do is you can use the Crushing Grip, enter a Nidus, and you don't get hurt.
That's
This
interesting.
is true. This is
correct. You use it on the enemies, go inside, wait till they stop, and then come out, do it again, and you just keep doing it until they die. And
That's
Kerrigan
really
doesn't
funky.
die.
All right.
Now, my slight worry with that is that with Kinetic Blast for the first few shuttles, Kerrigan has 1,000 health. The shuttles have 2,100 health. So it's not a complete solution, but it will help a lot. Yes, I have to agree.
They have 700 life. The first one is 2.
That was 2?
The first wave is 2.
Okay,
and
so
then
there's 1,400 hit points, and there's 1,000 hit points of Kerrigan. You got the double. You know what? Yeah, that should do it then. Okay, so honestly, I still think she's a worse Fenix, but if you say she's a better Fenix, I don't think you're necessarily wrong. I think they're pretty similar.
Nova, where do we have him?
Nova is also pretty bad. What do you make? Because here's the thing. Normally against double-edged, it's like, okay, I'll just make Spider Mines because Spider Mines are fine. And then Spider Mines get instantly and utterly obliterated by Diffusion and can do literally nothing. So now Nova's just sitting here like, well, the only thing I have that doesn't kill itself against double-edged is Spider Mines, which I can't make, and Marines, which, well, 1, Diffusion is going to come up again for the Marines, and 2, you are not soloing through Void Launch Waves with a Marine Ball as Nova. It's not going to work. You are going to suffer from, my army is actually completely terrible.
Well, they're too good for their own health.
In the case of her good units, yes. In the case of her Marines, it's the fact that they are just so bad that they couldn't defeat the army without. If you were to just try to Marine Moto battle without mutators, you're probably gonna die. It's like.
So she just airstrikes.
Marines are not great. Yeah, airstrike is going to do much better than Marines, and that's it. You're just the top bar. You've got Nova hero unit. She can sabotage drone, which if you can manage to aim that on units, good for you. That'll let Nova do lots of damage without killing herself. Other than that, she's a call down, and that's it. You have Griffin airstrike, which is a call down, and there you go. You have a call down. And then for units, you're probably going to want to make, like, you're probably still going to want Liberator Raven, and it's going to be this awkward thing of at least Liberators can shoot the shuttles, and the Liberators have enough health that they can actually shoot the shuttles without dying instantly. They'll still die eventually, but hopefully you'll manage to kill all the shuttles and run away before that happens, because obviously the shuttles still have things that shoot back, and it's gonna be a big, huge mess.
Letter.
Anyways, I would say she's probably an E tier.
E?
Yeah.
Alright. How about you, Tutu?
I don't think liberators are that bad. You just kite, so you don't like let them shoot repeatedly.
range.
You just have to move back and so you have
So
to
like
you
hit
have
and
to-
run tactics.
You have to engage the shuttles sooner so that you have more time. Griffin airstrikes have to be good. That's your main army killer. And you can finish off stragglers with Raven turrets, but you don't use Seeker Missile unless you want to do the super skill Seeker Missile where you Seeker Missile them and then you use
Airlift.
the airlift.
I want to
Yeah,
do
but
that
you
now.
do still want Ravens. I suppose I failed to mention Ravens.
Oh, you can also use a defense drone to protect the liberators while they're shooting the shuttles, so that also helps.
Yeah, and then manually control your defensive drone to pre-shield the liberators.
Well, yeah,
You
I
have
just didn't
things.
I didn't really siege them because they would kill themselves.
Yeah, they would just instantly die if they try to shoot ground units. They're
So-
just.
No, I mean
anti-shield.
pre-shield. Like the defensive drone you can manually shield the liberators.
Yeah,
Even,
You can. I don't think that's going to make a huge difference, but you can.
Yeah, still will help. Anyway,
Ah,
so
Yeah, I
Letter.
put them in D, but it seems like everything is one lower than what I put so far.
except Karax.
You are underestimating how hard this mutation can be if you aren't just completely on top of your micro.
Yeah, I can see that. So I think E makes sense.
Jimmy, where do we have him?
He's the guy I haven't beaten it with yet. I have a week to try. He's actually not that bad just because you can spawn camp the spawn points with spider mines, but you need help. And you can use Vikings on the shuttles, but other than that, Diffusion wrecks the Marines really badly. Double Edge is not that big of a deal, but it's the Diffusion. So yeah, I put him in E just because I think he's difficult to do much.
Okay.
Can't do that much.
How about you, Sixbender?
I don't think Diffusion wrecks Marines that hard. We're using P1 Marines, though.
No,
Oh, okay, there you go.
I tried P1 and then
Yeah, no.
they still got
Just
wrecked.
no. Yeah, no. P1 would be a bad idea here. You just want more Marines. That said, I think you're going to do quite a bit better with Jimmy's Marines than Nova's Marines. Yeah, okay. E tier, I guess, then makes sense, to be honest.
I was thinking bunkers, but
surprised that his Marines do that badly, but yeah. His bunkers are not, they are not Manx bunkers. That's
Oh,
the
wow.
best way of putting it. They can do stuff, but it's not that great.
that boy, where do we have him?
He turns the map green, and then he stops caring about certain things. Diffusion and double-edged still will allow you to lose Zerglings, but like it's not going to be that many Zerglings. If you have just a giant wall of Zerglings in green zone, you should probably be fine anyways. The only problem is that you cannot cast Egorb unless you want to lose Gary, which, I mean, that might be worth it. You might be worth using Gary as a one-time call down and saying, all right,
Yeah.
he'll be back in a minute. But other than that, Gary basic attacks. And at that, he probably has to basic attack limit himself on basic attack counts because otherwise he will kill himself anyways.
Overcharge a Steadlight on green zone, and then make sure you don't hit too many things.
For the shuttles, you'll probably want to just use Corruptors. Or alternatively, instead of using Corruptors, you can just turn this into, from your Zerglings, you just transition into max out on Pure Infestor.
Yeah,
And that should just work.
that
Honestly.
should probably work.
Especially since that'll mean that Gary, instead of being on the front line, he'll just be sitting by the infestors, pressing
Overcharging.
overcharge over the infestors so that they get even more roaches, and you can just have so many roaches that you just completely drown Amon in a sea of roaches. And honestly, that should just work.
Letter.
He's Dehaka with more steps.
Dehaka and more steps. So A?
Yeah, A works.
How about
Might
you,
be D,
Tutu?
but I'd say A works.
Yeah, I put him in A just because like people who impulsively use Igor are gonna find themselves Garyless, and
Garrulous.
that might be a problem.
Yeah.
And also, I think it's you need to overcharge the Stellites if you're using Corruptors. I think I used Infestors, so I didn't have that problem.
Infestors is
Infestors
the easier
for
way.
Circling.
Infestors are easier. It is actually brute force with infestors.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
put him in A because it's pretty easy.
Stukov, where do we have him?
P3 bunkers, they will die eventually. So S. Yeah, I don't remember if I built turrets near the conduits.
Eventually.
I don't think I did. I just built lots of bunkers.
His ammunition is infested. His people.
Alexander's also pretty strong as a top bar.
Oh yeah, the mind control thing, pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Apocalypse is a bomb. The hardest part with Stukov is not fighting Amon, it's fighting the rocks. Yeah, okay, you can go in S. Your early economy is like literally the biggest argument I can see for him not going in S is that, okay, so to expand, it's going to be a little annoying. But honestly, if you use Apocalypse to expand, does it get the rocks before it dies horribly of Diffusion Double-Edged? I
I'm
think
not
it
sure.
would get the main rocks. If it doesn't, it'll get them low enough that like your first 1 or 2 bunkers can just send troopers over to finish them off. So, yeah. Or worst case scenario, you just take your barracks, you build like, what is it? 7 Marines was the number to clear the rocks, and then you clear the rocks with those Marines. That's probably an even more reliable solution.
7 Marines.
Yeah. A little, you are inconvenienced by the expansion rocks, and that is literally, that inconvenience is the biggest fight the entire mission will put up, probably against you if you just are macroing out bunkers in a timely fashion.
Okay, so S?
S
All right.
S is fair. He is good. He's very good.
Swann, where do we have him?
I think that Swann is legitimately Buon here, because, so here's the thing. On one hand, what units do you make? That's a very good question, because they all kill themselves. You can make Goliaths, you probably make turrets. I would probably say turrets. But those turrets should be like around the conduits as the backup plan for anything that gets through your wall of factories and a laser drill. And that's literally the plan. You just play mass factory. Factory is your best unit. You use P1 laser drill. And you might be worried, but won't the laser drill kill itself with double-edged? Yes, that's why you just have like 10 SCVs hugging the laser drill and giving it emotional support. And then everything will be fine. You just need to give lots of emotional support to your laser drill. You need to give it confidence to solo the entire mission.
How about you, Tutu?
I like how when you put the SCVs around the laser drill, they will like go in to heal and then step back to their normal spot. So they keep going in and out, like going for hugs. It kind of looks like that, at least. They just yeah. I did this around the same time as Memorable Boss, and I did the same thing. So, except this was easier because there are no heroes.
Yeah.
So you just throw factories at the problems and micro the factories against diffusion so that you don't lose so many. But that's not really a big deal. You build turrets around the edges of the conduits so they don't get hurt by diffusion as much. And yeah, I put him in A because I thought it was pretty strong.
I feel like he has to worry slightly. Like if you compare him to how easy it is for the current A tiers, it's like, he doesn't quite fit with them, but it's like he's close. He would be A tier if the other A tiers weren't so good, basically, is what I feel like for Swann.
Yeah, but Tutu's saying that the laser can actually just, solo this. Solo with.
It can. Using the laser drill, probably target firing a bit, building a bunch of turrets as backup around the warp conduit to deal with what trickles through the laser drill, getting all those factories built and floated into position is a lot more work than build infestors and hold down the spawn roach key, or build creeper hosts and send a wave every 30 seconds, or build dragoons and A-click. Right? Like these are all things that sound like just so much less work.
Multi-building is a lot of work.
It's like, it's not that he can't do it. It's that the A tiers do it, but with so much less work.
Yeah, that sounds fair. Is that fair, Tutu?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Buon again! Tychus, where do we have him?
At first, we talked about how this is a test of micro. Tychus is like ultimate test of micro. Because you shoot for a little bit too long, you die. You mistime your medevac pickups with the SAM grenades, you drop them too early, he dies. Yep. You mistime the Odin nuke with the medevac pickup, he dies. So
wait, even Tychus dies?
No, the Odin dies. So you don't get to use it as a big piece of like
death
armor.
metal.
Yeah. So the medevac pickup is extremely important. You throw grenades and you pick them up. If it's SAM, you wait 5 seconds, then you drop them. But you can kill the shuttles really easily. You just need to have really good timing. But if you're just playing normally and not knowing how to fight, you're gonna just spend a lot of 250s reviving.
A lot, yes.
Yikes.
Question, Tutu. Did you use Sirius first?
No, I used Nikara first.
Nikara first. Wow.
Okay, that's like the only answer I can actually kind of understand that isn't serious. So the thing is, typically what you want to do for double-edged with Tychus is Sirius. You get Sirius first, and then you get the upgrade that says his turrets explode on death, and then you just use mini space station reallocation all game. You just keep throwing turrets and saying, "All right, go get him, Amon," and then Amon shoots the turret. It blows up in his face. Repeat. You just have your turrets keep blowing up in Amon's face. That is the entire plan.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I put Tychus next to Nova, so
Yikes.
it was
He doesn't
D.
seem that bad. I don't think he's as bad as Nova. I think Tychus could go in C.
I don't know. It seems. I don't know.
Maybe D.
It seems
Maybe
like.
D.
It's much harder than Mass Slayers.
Yes. But is it as bad as Kerrigan and Fenix?
If you're not paying attention, like you could use Lone Wolf, but then if you don't pay attention, your dude fights like for like 3 seconds, he's dead.
Yeah. Well, I was expecting you were using Lone Wolf and you were just being like Lone Wolf Tyke. Oh, right, because you used Nukara first though. Yeah, you're right. Because I was thinking like Lone Wolf, and then you would just go like, I throw a grenade and I try to do the medevac pickup. If I mess it up, it's only 250 minerals, but more importantly, it's the respawn on Tychus. The respawn time on Tychus is the biggest problem, not the money cost.
Yeah, the time is the biggest cost, I think.
And but like the grenade would at least one-shot the entire wave. So whether you miss the pickup or get it, it would kill the entire wave. So that's the important thing. So I would still expect it to go Lone Wolf, and then especially because I really think that the best way to beat double-edged with Tychus really is just serious. Throw a turret, make the turret blow up in their face. It's like a grenade that doesn't damage the caster. It's
I like Sirius.
Worse grenade, but it doesn't damage the caster. So that's really good.
Yeah, and you don't have to medevac pick up every few seconds.
Well, you still do. It's just that like the problem is that now you have to medevac pick up every time it's off cooldown instead of literally you don't have enough medevacs.
Also, if you get the Z, the anti-air rockets, turn off Sirius's auto attack with auto use for that one. Otherwise, he'll kill himself.
Otherwise, he'll kill himself. He will just one-shot himself with that. Yes.
That makes sense.
Well, technically, he won't one-shot himself. He'll just do like 80% of its max health. I think it is. It's like It's almost his entire health bar, but not quite. But still turn it off.
Do we have an E?
No. E is too low. He's not that bad, honestly. I personally would argue he's in C, but it's kind of a matter of he's between current D and current C. He's worse than current C's, but he's better than current D's. I think he leans slightly towards the C side, although I could also see us just having an argument for demoting the bottom 4 and putting Tychus as the only occupant of D.
I'm not sure about that. Because,
there's someone even worse for F tier, right?
No. I don't think so.
No, you don't think she's that bad?
I don't think that our residential F tier is F this time.
Yo.
Bio launchers.
No, they'll one-shot themselves with double-edged. I am curious to see how Tutu actually suggests this. However, Tychus.
I'm pretty sure it has something to do with bio launchers.
It can't.
Did I use bio launchers? No.
Double-edged makes them literally one-shot themselves in a single blast. They are basically just a Baneling, but with more price tag.
I guess the concern here is whether the skill required for Tychus is enough of an impediment to put him in E.
He's not. He's absolutely not worse than Kerrigan and Fenix. I think. Yeah.
I guess if you're good about using Tychus turrets, then it shouldn't be as hard as having to time your medevac pickups.
Timing the medevac, right? For some reason, like I'm used to thinking of the timing medevac pickups as not that hard, but yeah, I guess okay. D tier I think makes sense for Tychus. I really don't think he goes in E tier because like compare that to Kerrigan where we were talking about doing the same thing with like Crushing Grip and then hopping into a Nidus Worm, which is actually worse because like you have to like make sure you're standing next to the Nidus Worm and hop her into a Nidus Worm instead of just cast the pickup right where she is.
That makes sense. Is D okay, Tutu?
That's where I put her. That's where I put him.
I heard E.
Well,
Never
that's
mind.
where you put him, but you put him with Nova originally, is what you were saying. Remember?
Then yeah, D is fine.
Yes.
Okay, there it is. So Tychus and D. Vorazun, where do we have him?
So, your Dark Templar ignore Diffusion and Double-Edged both while casting Shadow Fury, and that's how you're going to be able to function at all. Like, without that, suffering. Because everything you have will kill itself, or just do so little damage that it will die because Amon kills it, and it didn't kill Amon back. Balance. So probably you're going to want to use Dark Templar, and a whole lot of Photon Cannon is probably going to be your best option. You can also use a lot of Stalkers, and Stalkers are good.
Yeah, they regen their
Anti-air.
shields.
They regen their shields and blinking. And the other thing is, if you blink, they cloak, and then if they get killed, they don't die. They go back to your Nexus. And then
That's pretty
Double-Edged
neat.
repairs their health bar.
So, letter.
B.
Vorazun? How about you, Tutu?
Because her top bar is probably going to do better than like Alarak's top bar alone, and her Stalkers are kind of similar to Slayers, but she also has an also better option for anti-ground of making Dark Templar, as long as you Shadow Fury, and never ever ever basic attack with your Dark Templar. It's already bad enough in standard brutal, but here, don't do it ever. Very bad. Do not basic attack with your Dark Templar, or they will die. Anyways,
How about you,
yeah,
Tutu?
Vorazun.
I found this to be pretty easy, with mass stalkers, like just all stalkers.
That makes sense.
And,
just
Shadow
go,
Guards.
just do the Vorazun version of Mass Dragoons.
Yes, exactly. It's just like worse, a little bit worse. Expanding is a pain. You need like stalkers plus like not letting them get themselves killed, but it takes some time.
Do you get attack upgrades?
I don't remember what's the rule for double edge, like how many attack upgrades to get for which unit. I just generally get 1 or maybe 0.
Yeah, I don't get attack upgrades whatsoever. So
I usually just get +3 weapons anyways, because it's like, you know what, the total number of enemy hit points to grind through isn't changing. So
I think with like Horner Reapers, if you get attack upgrade 3, they start killing themselves. So you don't.
Okay, yes, Horner Reapers are the only exception to that, where it's like I discovered very painfully, no, these ones actually do kill themselves.
But yeah, back to Vorazun, I put her in B because it's similar to. I put Alarak in B too because it's worse Dragoons.
all right, unanimous. There we go. Zagara, where do we have him?
Because of diffusion, you don't make Zerglings, so all your minerals or all the minerals I spent on spore crawlers, just lots of spore crawlers. And early on, Zagara doesn't care about the mutators. Like herself, P3, she can take care of the waves with the banelings plus hunter killers, and she could take out the first few shuttles because just by herself with hunter killers. And then later on, you add corruptors. They have more HP
really
than
tanky.
Scourge. Yeah, so they're not P2 corruptors, but they're still good. And you have, you just damage them, and then when they get close, you let the spores finish them off. So, yeah, I don't think it was that bad. I put her.
Wait, so the Baneling Barrage from Zagara, I keep forgetting. It only does double-edged damage to her if it hits a structure. It doesn't.
Yes.
Yeah,
if you hit a
buildings.
structure or like a void rift
Then she kills herself. But if she hits a unit, then it's fine. So literally, P3 Zagara can practically hero solo the mission because she doesn't actually damage herself.
Pretty much, and she does so little damage herself.
Oh yeah, her basic attack is just she's a spellcaster, and none of her spells deal damage to her.
High Templar.
Yeah, so
okay.
I think B is okay.
Wow, Bagara.
That seems a little generous, but I can see it. I kind of forgot that, like, oh yeah, P3 Banelings don't hurt you with double-edged.
How do you
if
get
they
creep
did,
to the
she would instantly be F tier. Like, can we agree that if Zagara's Baneling Barrage killed herself, she would instantly be F tier?
Oh yeah. Like,
Yeah.
How do you put
didn't
the creep
do anything.
forward? Do you use
Unplayable.
tumors or
I
hatcheries?
put a hatchery between the conduits.
Makes sense. All right. Do we agree on B?
Hero solo plus mass static defense. Yep, seems to work.
Plus corruptors. All right, there we
Plus
go.
corruptors, but yeah. The
Turns
corruptors are
out
just like to make sure you can
The
actually
way for
shoot down.
Zagara to go up the rankings is to end the bio launcher memes. Zeratul, where do we have him?
So cannon's good, yada yada. However, they do kill themselves eventually. And by eventually, I mean reasonably quickly. However, so the hero unit, this again comes to the micro thing. So Zeratul's hero unit can cleave an attack wave without killing himself, if he hasn't taken his phasing armor is off cooldown, because the way Zeratul's phasing armor is coded, after his cleave damages one enemy, it activates the phasing armor, and then the cleave kills the rest of the enemies while he is immune to damage. So, if his phasing armor is off cooldown, he can cleave and have no consequences. Which means what you want to do with Zeratul is keep him nice and distant, not taking damage from anything, including Diffusion double-edged. Blink in, cleave, blink out. Wait for cleave cooldown and repeat. You can also use P3, which means that in addition to that, while you're waiting, you can just keep spamming tornadoes because the tornadoes won't damage Zeratul. So, Tornado Swarm.
It's a win!
And then past that, your army is probably going to be Cannon Sentry, and you're just going to max out on sentries because your sentries actually are pretty solid units. Like, a giant ball of Zeratul sentries can actually just
A giant ball of balls.
Especially if it's like a Terran enemy and you can just use the reflection shield to make their entire army kill itself. It's hilarious.
Make Amon play against Diffusion or double-edged.
Yes, make Amon play against double-edged and he dies because your sentries have 240 HP and can heal each other and have really solid DPS. Why are Zeratul sentries so good? And they're one supply! So yeah,
Nice.
Zeratul sentries are very good units, actually. Like, literally, mass sentry is a very strong army. And yeah, so cannons cost like only minerals, sentries cost only gas. Zeratul hero unit micro is good. I would still personally use P2 for the stronger cleave, but P3 can work if you want to like let up on the precision of blink, cleave, blink, and just say, I'm just gonna spam tornadoes and let it be tornado town and just call it a day. That also works. And yeah, Zeratul is honestly just like reasonably solid. He's probably A or B tier with that, to be honest, because there is micro requirement. But like, if you can't do one form of micro, you just do a different form of micro, and it'll still work because he has lots of options. Yeah, you can, but that's going to be quite a bit harder though, because like Zeratul does a lot of damage with cleave. Like, that's a ton of damage. Especially if you get it like when waves are spotting and you just like blink in, cleave, and you just eat like a quarter of the wave instantly. It's really good. It's really, really good. You should try to figure it out, because what's the worst that happens? Zeratul dies. If you're using P3, then it's not like you have more artifacts to find anyways, so it's actually not that bad if Zeratul dies. So if you're not confident in it, just use P3. Use tornado spam to whittle down the wave, and then you can attempt to see if you can pull off the Zeratul cleave thing. I assure you it's not as hard as it sounds, so if you want to get some practice, this is a great time to do it.
Does sound pretty hard though. Anyway, how about you, Tutu?
I do the cleave thing, but like it's not reliable, because sometimes like you go in before you cleave, you blink in, you get hit, and then you cleave and you die.
You have a whole half second. You're fine.
Yeah.
So I actually used
realize
P1.
how long half a second is?
I used P1 and I used mass stalkers. So just like the other ones, except now Zeratul is like a cooldown, but not as suicidal. And he has a super cloak, which is nice so that you don't get attacked. And with blink, you just use the stalker, the ball that comes out that does damage.
The
So
triple
you
blink.
kill things that way. Just blink, 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 and then things die.
The problem with that method is that if ever you let your stalkers actually just attack, they will kill themselves in seconds.
No, you hit and run, like you kite them.
Yes.
You don't. You can see the health bars depleting, and then like they get like 3 hits before you should stop. So you basically
this
hit
sounds
blink,
like you're making
hit blink.
this a lot harder than it has to be.
It's you hit blink, or hit move, blink. You can move or blink, but I find it to be more reliable than cannons because every time I use cannons with double edge, the cannons just go away.
How
they
about
get
cannons
themselves
plus shield guards?
That was yeah.
on the field.
Yeah.
Oh, like you deploy the cannons and the shield guards are there healing them?
I mean-
I personally would recommend just putting the cannons around the conduits and the shield guards fight everything. And then, literally, the biggest problem with the shield guards. So here's the biggest problem with the shield guards would be their DPS is relatively low. So you might end up where you're fighting Amon's army while the shuttles just fly past, and the cannons can deal with the shuttles alone if the shuttles just flew past the fight. So that's what you use the cannons for, and then you can also fall back to the cannons with your shield guards if you need to like get a little bit of extra DPS. And if you lose some cannons, that's okay because your biggest resource is gas for the shield guards, and cannons are basically just a mineral dump.
Yeah,
That
kind of.
you can also use legions, but yeah, honestly, literally, basically, what I'm actually saying is I said cannons. But I guess realistically, what I meant is mass shield guard with cannon mineral dump.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Is my recommendation.
I think shield guards are, especially when you get the reflector thingy.
Yeah,
You
shield
make
guards.
Amon fight himself while you're hitting yourself. Tornado's also pretty awesome.
Don't you should the cleave thing. Really, you walk up, you blink in, you E, you blink out. You just like BE instantly, like hand on the keyboard. Right after each other. You have a whole half second to get from key 1 to key 2. So if you're using 2 different fingers, you should be fine.
I like Sardath Legion for this because they just, make some of Amon's Yasuo units.
Yeah, without, killing themselves. Zealots will just probably die to Diffusion. Void Rays will probably die to Double-Edged. Unless you're only P2, then they only have +2 weapons, which means they probably can actually get quite a bit of damage off before dying Double-Edged, but then they don't have the 9 range, so they probably have Diffusion problems, so yeah, probably Sardath.
Once again, Avatar of Essence. When the big units are smaller, they're easier to kill, and they take less damage. They deal less damage with double-edged. So
but also more importantly, Avatar of Essence gives you 40% damage reduction, which does apply to Diffusion and double-edged
really
damage. So it's just
that's really nice.
Avatar of Essence is really strong.
Yeah, I don't know why you would ever use the blue guy when you have the vote dude.
Yeah, there really is no reason.
Anyway, I put Zeratul in A. So with all that said, different strat, but still A.
How do you get A with that strat? That sounded so much complicated. Okay.
Well, I don't
just
think
mass stalkers.
Yeah.
We came to the same conclusion, even if I don't understand how Tutu's strategy was that it was like worthy of A, because no, it's not just mass stalker. Mass stalker is you A move stalkers and occasionally have to blink. This is
Well,
you blink.
It's still
you don't shoot, you blink.
It's still technically mass.
When you use Vorazun stalkers, you also blink.
That is true.
Yeah, but you can actually just shoot things. You don't have to be just like blink, blink, blink. All right, wait for cooldowns. Blink in, blink to the side, blink out. Blink, blink to the side, blink out. Kite, blink. Only blink. Never attack. Make sure you don't attack.
Let me see how bad. How much
remember to blink, guys. Blinking is healthy for your eyes. I like how we all still get to the same conclusion. I wonder if there will be enough time to split Zeratul into a separate video, but this is kind of funny.
I don't know. All right, sure, we can put him in A, but like, your stalkers die so fast.
No, they don't. They don't die that fast. And earlier on, I actually had shield guards accompany them to heal them a little, but later on, the shield guards died, and I just like, screw it, you guys. I don't need you.
Okay, I would still prefer mass shield guard personally, but okay.
You can do both. You can have shield guards with the ambushers.
Honestly, I'm pretty certain that you're probably better off going one or the other, like Tutu said. Just,
All right.
I think I that's one thing I can't.
Just play
agree with.
Stukov,
Pick
guys.
one. Just play Stukov. Now, with all this in place, is there anyone in A tier who we would say is the strongest candidate for being promoted to S tier? And do we feel like they're a strong enough candidate to be promoted to S tier?
I think Dehaka is really strong and easy too.
I still think he's only similar to Artanis. However, what about Abathur? Like, the more I'm looking at this, P1 Abathur.
I haven't tried it yet, so I can't really say.
You should do that. You should like
Weird
make
as
a
it
video
is,
of like
yeah.
Abathur is being buffed by Amon.
Weird as it is, I think these two guys, I don't know. I think they deserve S. Only the two of them, because the others, yeah, they're good, but like they're not as intuitive as spam
Yeah,
bunkers.
Karax and Stukov, I guess, are kind of on a level of their own, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So between them, who's better?
Karax.
I think Karax is like
Karax.
you can probably fight stronger enemy comps without having to worry.
All right. So for A, so Dehaka and Abathur are the highest.
I
would put Artanis with Dehaka. I personally think Artanis is stronger than Dehaka, but he can be behind Dehaka. As long as he's next to Dehaka, it's fine. Manx goes behind Stetmann. And that's probably good.
Abathur's the best among A?
I think so.
Yeah, I really like the concept
P1
of...
Abathur is.
Yeah, I really like the concept
Abathur,
of...
Non-P1 Abathur is probably down near Zeratul, like hugging Zeratul. P1 Abathur is probably top of A.
I really like the concept of just the mutator buffing you rather than annoying you.
Oh yeah, when P1 first came out, Lil Aaron actually did an Abathur video where he just did all of the mutators that now were actually a buff because of P1. And it was like 6 different mutators, and he just took like 3 Ravagers and soloed the entire like mutation.
That was crazy though. Anyway.
Yes, but the point was, it's just like those Ravagers just literally didn't die because there were so many things that were causing them to damage themselves and actually heal a ridiculous amount because of that. That it's just hyper regenerating units.
Among the
It
bees.
was hilarious.
Among the bees, who's the best?
Swann.
All right, then
I think Zagara is stronger than Vorazun.
But time stop is so useful. But yeah.
I like how these 3 these are the next 3, Swann, Zagara, and Vorazun, like after Raynor, Kerrigan, or Artanis. These are and like how they're all the ones in B. I think it's kind of funny.
The
next 3.
Honestly, I guess we can put Zagara in front of Vorazun because I don't have strong enough feelings either way. But they're very similar, to be honest, I think.
Alright, for C, who's better? Alarak or Horner?
Alarak.
For D, Fenix, Kerrigan, or Tychus?
Tychus.
Alright. And then?
Then
I would say that's the correct order, personally. I think Fenix was less pain than Kerrigan.
Alright.
Once you figured out the procedure for Fenix, it was actually not that hard to execute, I found at least. Although apparently 2-2 took several attempts.
Sure. And for E, who's better? Nova or Raynor?
Nova.
I guess. I haven't tried Raynor.
Alright, then there it is. That's our tier list for this week, guys. Watch 2-2 and Sticks Better's channels. I will look them down below. And I will see you guys next time. He's a bomb.